Good day and welcome to the channel. Lord of the Rings is the 2001 smash hit film that I have chosen to cover in this episode. This film is great for several reasons, to which we will get right into. So, the first thing that we need to consider is the fact that this film and its sequels are based around three books by the same titles: The Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Rings for this particular film, The Two Towers, and The Return of the King by J.R.R. Tolkien. They were written between 1954 and 1955. They are great books in of themselves. Anyone who loves fantasy action books should read them, or even listen to them if that is their preferred manner of taking in information. The first thing that we need to consider is the director of this great trilogy, and indeed the first film as we're looking at, who is called Peter Jackson. So he is a director, writer, and producer. But the films that he's directed are as follows, and it goes from 1987 to present. So Bad Taste, Meet the Feebles, Brain Dead, Heavenly Creatures, Forgotten Silver, Jack Brown Jr.'s The Frighteners, The Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring, The Two Towers, Return of the King, King Kong, The Lovely Bones, District 9, The Adventures of Tintin, The Hobbit series, all three films, Mortal Engines, and The Lord of the Rings, The War of the Rohirrim. Some of those films he didn't actually direct, but he did have a, another workable point in. Let's turn to the third thing about this film, and that is the cast itself. Beginning with the character Frodo Baggins, who is the lead in the actual film. He is played by Elijah Woods. Then you have Gandalf the Grey, played by Ian McKellen. You have Aragorn, played by Viggo Mortensen. You you have Samwise Gamgee, played by Sean Astin. Then you have Boromir, played by Sean Bean. Meriadoc Brandybuck, played by Dominic Monaghan. Gimli, played by John Rhys Davis. Legolas Legolas, played by Orlando Bloom. Arwen, played by Liv Taylor. Galadriel, played by Cate Blanchett. Saruman the White, played by Christopher Lee. Elrond, played by Hugo Weaving. Bilbo Baggins, that's the uncle of Frodo, played by Ian Holm. home. Gollum played by Andy Serkis. So there's the cast, and the reason this film is great is because of the cast. The fourth thing that we should mention is the musical score. It was composed by Howard Shore, but it was performed by 4 different orchestras or singers or schools of, if you will. So you have in one case the New Zealand Symphony Orchestra, in another case the London Philharmonic Orchestra, the London Voices, the London Oratory School of Scholar, and there's actually 5. So the fifth one is the Maori Samoan Choir, which had several vocalists. So, what does the soundtrack consist of? Well, the following are the songs, and there's quite a number. The Prophecy, Concerning Hobbits, The Shadow of the Past, The Treason of Isengard, The Black Rider, At the Sign of the Prancing Pony, A Knife in the Dark, Flight to the Ford, Many Meetings, The Council of Elrond, The Ring Goes South, A Journey in the Dark, The Bridge of Khazad-dûm, Lothlorien, I think that's pronounced, The Great River, Amon Hen, The Breaking of the Fellowship, May It Be. So altogether 18 tracks. And as you're watching the film, at different intervals, each of the tracks will come on, and it provides a really great atmosphere for the scene and the point that is being put forth in the film at that particular time. The fifth thing that needs to be mentioned here is both the budget and the box office income. The budget was set at 93 million. The box office, it took in 894 million, showing how well this film actually done in its original release. In fact, it was up there with films like Spider-Man, which came out a year later, and possibly the Harry Potter series. Let us now consider this a little more deeply, shall we? So its release date in America was the 19th of December 2001. In England, it was the 10th, so a whole 9 days prior of December 2001. And in New Zealand, where it was actually made, it was released on the 20th of December 2001. On its opening day in United States and Canada, the film grossed 18.2 million from 3,359 cinemas and 11.5 million in 13 countries, including 3 million from 466 screens in United Kingdom. It grossed 75.1 million in its first 5 days in the United States and Canada and 47.2 in its opening weekend, placing it at number one at the box office, setting a December opening record, beating Ocean's 11. It also opened at number one in 29 international markets and remained there for a second week in all but the Netherlands. It set a record opening day gross in Australia at 2.9 million from 405 screens, beating the record of 1.3 set by Star Wars Episode 1 The Phantom Menace. It had a record opening weekend in Germany with 1.5 admissions and in Spain with a 5.3 million based on 395 screens. It grossed a record of 2.5 million in 15 days in New Zealand. The record would last for less than a decade before being surpassed by Avatar. In Denmark, it became the country's highest grossing film, surpassing Titanic. In its first 15 days, the film grossed 183.5 million internationally and 178.7 million in the United States and Canada, bringing the worldwide total to 362.2 million. So in its initial release, it went on to gross 313.4 million in the United States and Canada and 555 million in the rest of the world, for a worldwide total of 868.4 million. The following reissues of the film grossed 324 million in the United States and 569 million in the rest of the world, for a world total of 894 million. So that just shows you how fantastic the film done in its initial release and screenings in the theatres in 2001. As a way of an addendum, I just want to add the budget and the income of both The Two Towers and The Return of the King. So the first one, The Two Towers, the budget was 94 million and it took in 942 mil. The third one, The Return of the King, was 94 million as a budget and it took in 1.142 bill. So even there you see how great these films as a trilogy done and as separate films done. And that's why they stand out as great films and I would recommend them to anyone.